There has been a few questions coming to our office regarding the assistance Ministry of Housing and Community Development will be providing to those households or individuals who lost their home during Cyclone Harold. So the questions were not only coming from the media but also from the public because they needed some clarity on it. As Prime Minister announced, Ministry of Housing and Community Development, they do have a social rural housing scheme in place, and they also look after social housing in rural and maritime areas. So after Cyclone Harold, our manager, Rural Housing, he has been based at Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development and NDMO. So he has been liaising with these ministries in working out the number of dwellings that were damaged or partially damaged. So as the Prime Minister announced, more than 600 houses were completely destroyed. So now you'll be wondering what kind of assistance that can be provided by the ministry. So our assistance is in twofold. The first one is for those houses that are completely destroyed. For that, we do have a scheme in place, which is what we call 1/3 and 2/3 contribution that individuals can make. So if you want to know what is the criteria is that the person must be 18 years and above. The house in which he or she lives is the only home they have or they had, and they're earning below 15,000, which is meant to be a household income. So if there are 4 family members and the total household income is 15,000 and below, then they can qualify for this assistance. Also, they must be a Fiji citizen. And so this is the criteria that we normally look at and then decide who qualifies for this assistance and who doesn't. So under 1/3 and 2/3 contribution, we have done the costing of a 2-bedroom dwelling, and a 2-bedroom dwelling will cost around $18,000, and the size of the house would be 24 by 18. So we worked it out. So if you look at the cost of 2-bedroom dwelling, which is it roughly comes to around 18,000, that means 1/3 contribution would be 6,000, and the rest will come from the ministry. Ministry of Housing and Community Development is working very closely with Ministry of Rural and Maritime Development as well as Ministry of Forestry, because one of the criteria or requirement is that people just can't come here and say, you know what, my house was damaged, because the recording has been done by the NDMO team. So anyone whose house was partially damaged or fully damaged is in the list of damaged houses, which is with NDMO. This week we received a number of complaints where people came and said that, we need assistance. So we have made it very clear that you need to go through NDMO. So NDMO list is what we will be considering, but further verification will be made by the ministry to work it out who qualifies, who doesn't. Because if you take Kandavu, for instance, there are a number of Yangona growers. They are the farmers who grow Yangona. Surely they will not come under this category where we're saying the household income must be 15,000 and below. Surely the household income is much higher. So what kind of assistance can we provide to them? Now again, we have seen that sometimes when people live in the rural and maritime area, particularly maritime areas, they need building material, but they find it very difficult to place an order, to procure, and to get it delivered to the islands. Sometimes they do the payment to the hardware companies and they don't deliver on time. It takes 6 months, it takes 9 months, and I know people have been lodging a complaint in that regard. So just to assist such household who needs building material, Ministry of Housing can procure for them and they can deliver it. Now, if you are wondering how these houses will be built, well, it can be done in 2 ways. One, under the rural housing scheme, a number of carpenters were trained over a period of time in rural and maritime areas. This was part and parcel of rural housing, a project that we had, where we have been providing training to rural carpenters. So we already have some carpenters in the rural areas who can build houses. But besides that, Ministry of Housing along with Public Rental Board, they have a team of 20 carpenters. And these 20 carpenters will be going out to the island once the materials are all sourced and verifications done, to assist them in building the dwellings.